sponsor and guest, Ewunike Brady, head of home lending, African American segment at Wells Fargo. Welcome to the show.
Great. Thank you, Denise. I'm excited to be able to join you today.
Yeah, and please forgive me for, just trying to get it right, get your name right. Not, I'm trying to put this little, something onto it, but I guess I didn't have to do that, right?
No worries at all.
Well, thanks again for joining us and also for sponsoring our home ownership supplement that's coming out next week. As we all know, June is National Home Ownership Month, and the Washington Informer likes to do or has been doing a home ownership supplement probably for the last, 7 or 8 years. And we're always glad to partner with Wells Fargo on this. But tell me, why was this important for you all to participate with and to sponsor as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Within the work that I lead in mortgage, it's the critical work in advancing Black home ownership in an effort to close the racial wealth gap. And so we are thrilled to sponsor the supplements, and we have a longstanding relationship with the Washington Informer and are very committed to advancing home ownership, specifically Black home ownership. And the supplement is a great way to provide a resource that speaks to current housing issues. Industry leaders provide perspective. Your readers, right? They have access to educational tips and relevant products and programs. And so it's really the ability to provide this comprehensive guide. It's an opportunity for the community. It helps lays the groundwork to educate and start the conversations around homeownership.
We were really pleased because Zerlene Hughes is a new member of our team, and she was actually responsible for working on this edition. And I think it's going to be really well received. But we're concerned because we keep hearing the statistics about, African American home ownership. We're trying to get to the point where folks can really say that we are making progress, and which is, where Wells Fargo comes in as far as the future of home ownership involving African Americans. What role do you see Wells Fargo playing in shaping that future?
It's quite significant. I think it doesn't just start or stop with Wells Fargo. It's one of those things that it's going to take our collective housing industry to come together and create some solutions. One of the spaces that we're looking into is how can we provide products, programs, tools, and resources today? And that starts with education. And so I think the homeownership supplement is a great start to that. Additionally, we partner with industry groups such as Home for USA to provide housing workshops in and around the city. We certainly work with the National Bar Association to help support economic empowerment institutes. And we look at the full gamut of homeownership. It's not just coming into being a first-time home buyer or starting that homeownership journey, but it's also creating legacy and generational wealth. And so it doesn't just stop once you get into the home and you start your home ownership journey. It's really speaking to how do you protect your assets. So even through our wealth and investment management arm of Wells Fargo, we start talking about sustainability and how to transfer properties and create that legacy and that generational wealth. So also providing education around transfer wealth, estate planning, deeds and trusts, heirs properties, which is something that does play a big part into our communities and having that loss of wealth when families pass on or those homes are not transitioned from family member to family member. So for us, it's a way to create education and provide folks with the tools and resources at every step of their journey.
When we were once doing, and we hope to come back and producing a newsletter, an e-newsletter called Our House, and focusing on keeping homes Black owned. And the focus initially was on Ward 7 and 8, but we decided to expand that. Now we've sort of suspended it for a minute. But one of the things that led us to do that was the whole issue of gentrification. Now, we don't really hear much about that anymore. And what we found as we were publishing this, that all of the issues that you just raised are the things that can be barriers or stand in the way of building, family or legacy wealth in our communities. And I'll just also say that it was just last evening, I was really excited to hear a friend of one of my sons who is approaching 40, who said to me, I have wasted so much money in my lifetime, his lifetime, but he's wasted so much money. And now he's really serious about, his money, his investments, what he does for his, to take care of his family. And so, great thing for him as a young man, he did purchase a condominium. I'm not sure where that is right now, but there are a lot of young people in this community who are looking to purchase their first home. And so, from your standpoint, what advice would you give to that first time home buyer or home purchaser, and the best way to kind of navigate the home buying process?
Yeah, I think that's a space that you really need to surround yourself with trusted advisors, folks that really can be those subject matter experts. Our home mortgage consultants certainly lead in that space. And it's really about understanding your financial wherewithal. What are you able to afford when you go into the purchase process? What does that look like? And not just getting into the home, but staying in the home,
Hmm.
being prepared for life's challenges that may come as you're getting into becoming a homeowner, and the upkeep and the maintenance. And it's really important to have all of that perspective when you start to go into sourcing or looking for a home. And you need to recognize that this is something that's attainable. This is something that you can achieve. You think about a lot of the myths that you hear out there around housing and home ownership, like that you need 20% down, which you don't. We certainly have products that are available that you could go as low as 3% down to get into.
Wow.
So our Dream Plan Home mortgage product does just that. And in addition to that, there's a lot of programs out there based on where you live, your municipality, your state, local, county government, and even with lenders that provide down payment assistance. And we have a Dream Plan Home closing cost credit that gives up to $5,000 to help bridge that gap on some of those one-time fees that come with the mortgage purchase. There's also the opportunity for grants. We have a home buyer access grant, especially within the Washington, D.C. area, that provides $10,000 that you don't have to repay. And these are things that you can layer and put together to help bridge the gap to the money that you may have to bring to the table. So it's really getting educated about the programs and the resources that are available in the community that you can take advantage of that will help you get closer to owning your first home.
Well, it's really great to hear about so many of these initiatives that Wells Fargo has, and programs that will assist first-time home buyers, and I guess others who are seeking to purchase, a home. But you mentioned the importance of financial education, and a lot of people like that term better than financial literacy. So, and I do too. I like financial education better. And are you saying that Wells Fargo also has programs that will help enhance, I guess, the knowledge base of finances when it comes to your customers?
Yeah, I have a colleague that likes to call it financial empowerment, which
Mm-hmm.
is nice also. And it speaks to really having an understanding of how your money can support the goals that you have for your future. We certainly do through our foundation and outreach efforts. We have financial literacy and education that's available through those avenues. We also work with HUD approved housing counseling agencies. We have our teams in market that we work with. We have relationships that can help provide some of those opportunities to get education around how to manage your money. It could be as simple as how to balance a checkbook, to budgeting, to financial investments in the stock market. So it really depends on where you are in that journey and how you'd like to leverage some of those services. So certainly any of our home mortgage consultants could help support getting folks in touch with the right people to help with their financial empowerment on their journey.
And is that, I mean, would one just walk into a Wells Fargo branch, or how do they access these programs and
Yeah, you can
resources?
certainly go through whether it's wellsfargo.com. There's an opportunity to reach out and have someone call you, or you can certainly go into a Wells Fargo branch in your local market or in any market and provide what you're looking for, share that, and they can certainly get you in touch with the right persons in market to help with that.
This is one of those questions, but it's like, what are some of the unique challenges that African Americans face in home ownership? And one of historically, the unique challenge was just who we are, the color of our skin. But today, I think Wells Fargo and others are trying to address those issues. But other than that, what are some of the unique challenges that you have observed uh, in 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 our community of folks trying to purchase a home?
The biggest areas that we see, and data can show this, is really the down payment assistance and credit. These are our credit scoring and modeling and things of those nature have historically been a barrier to home ownership. And these are spaces that, as we can provide more education and more resources to certainly help bridge that gap, we're looking to support those efforts. Additionally, some other spaces, and it's been talked about quite a bit, is around increased diversity in the appraiser profession. That's a space that, when you start to talk about having equitable outcomes in home ownership, how our homes are valued, it is another space that could provide more equity in the home ownership process. And one of the things that we've done to increase diversity and reduce some of the barriers to entry is to create programs or participate in ways that we can help stand up programs to provide more diversity in the appraisal industry. And so we've partnered with the National Urban League and provided a $5 million grant to help create a diverse appraisers initiative to certify appraisers from historically underrepresented racial and ethnic backgrounds. And that's another space that we can certainly create new opportunities to grow Black home ownership through how we evaluate, add valuation to our homes.
Yeah, I know we've done stories in the past about that. Particularly, there's a big story here in Prince George's County where folks really, I think, rang the bell about what was happening. And we talked to some appraisers, and one of the Black-owned appraising companies that really talked about one of the challenges being appraisers unable to work for as long as they do without, I guess, the apprentice program or
Yes.
something. So there's a period of time you have to work before you can even get paid, and a lot of us can't afford to do that. So I don't know if that's one of the, this funding that you providing, if it addresses that as well, or what specifically.
Yeah, it creates a pathway for appraisers, and it is an apprenticeship to take on.
Hmm.
And generally, it's passed down family member to family member. And if there is not as much diversity, right, there's not as much access. And so this is creating a pathway to provide more access for more ethnically diverse appraisers to come into this specialty, this field, learn the trade, and then be able to serve as apprentice for others. And so you begin to open that door and provide an avenue to have more equitable access to this line of work.
Yeah, I know you all probably don't have much to do with interest rates, but that is one of the challenges too. I would think that people, there are times when they say you need to go buy quickly while the interest rates are down, or right now they're high. But how do you think that impacts individuals' ability or desire even to purchase currently?
There's a space where, and it comes back to affordability,
Yeah.
understanding where you're able to make your purchase decisions. I will tell you, when I talk to family members, my parents, for example, they're thinking 8%, right, is a great interest rate based on when they purchased during their lifetime, their first home, which was in the double digits
Oh
for
yeah, I remember.
interest rates. And so it becomes all relative, but it comes back down to what is feasible for you at that time and makes
Mm.
sense within what your affordability is, to make that purchase, regardless of the rates. The mortgage market is cyclical, and so there will be ebbs and flows and where the rate is. But at the end of the day, ultimately, it's your wherewithal and what you're able to afford that really should be the focus on your purchase transactions. Even just this week, if we start to think about, housing stock and available units and things of that nature, there have been reporting that this is the 7th month in a row that we're starting to see more homes become available for purchase in the market. And so you start to see that shift that's happening, and it's great during months such as June, homeownership month, where people are really focused in on getting educated and learning and starting more down that process. But it certainly comes down to what you're able to comfortably afford, and that's the right decision for you and your family to make going into that process, irregardless of where the rates are.
Well, that's that's good, in kind of shaping people's mindset, because you're right. I think when my husband and I purchased our first home, I think the interest rate was, I don't know, 13, 14% or something. It may have been higher than that. But so, I mean, you refinance and you kind of get it at a rate, but, and, still, um, there's so much I could ask you, would want to ask you. And that's why we're doing this home ownership issue, because, there's a lot of questions about how people can, purchase, sustain, and pass on, these properties. So I'm really glad that Wells Fargo is participating. The administration, the Biden administration, HUD, so many others have this goal, right, or had a goal at least, to increase home ownership among African Americans. Does Wells Fargo have anything like that, where you're trying to increase opportunities for African American home ownership? But is there something that you're looking at that makes you say, we are on the right track?
I mean, in a whole, we're looking at really bridging that gap in homeownership, and it's
Hmm.
at its widest, right? It's as much as it was back when the Fair Housing Act was initiated, and so the efforts that we're putting in front of us are really to help close that gap, close that up, close the space, and make sure that all folks that are interested in purchasing a home have equitable access, and there's a more equitable housing industry that's in front of us. And so those are the efforts that we're focused on. It's not an exact dollar or number amount that we're moving towards, but certainly making sure that we can close that gap and make significant strides there and be impactful. As a leader in this space and the work that we do, we try to collaborate across the industry, and when there's more opportunities for consumers, it's better for everyone. And so being able to work across our peers, work with industry groups, work with housing advocates, these are spaces that we can help shape policies, talk about what are some spaces that we can elevate or change zoning laws in certain communities. These aren't spaces that we lead in, but there's an
Right.
opportunity to have those discussions and talk about what are the needs in those communities that may help create more access to affordable housing or create more space to do more development so that there are available units in the market. And so those are the areas that we're really trying to lean into so that all in we can create a more equitable housing system.
Well, I, really want to thank you for being with us today and sharing this information, and also, as I said, supporting this segment, and or sponsoring this segment, and sponsoring our home ownership issue. And like Black History Month, we celebrate home ownership in the month of June, or we observe home ownership during the month of June. But it's something that, Wells Fargo, the Washington Foreman, and so many others are spending every single day on this topic, and trying to move it forward. So we appreciate Wells Fargo's efforts in doing that. And don't be a stranger. The door is always open for you all to talk about, some new program or something that you think our viewers need to take advantage of.
Wonderful. Well, this has been great. And we certainly appreciate you all and the work that you're doing and getting the education out to our communities. So would love to continue to have more of this dialogue.
Wonderful. Ewunike Brady. Did I do it right that time?
You got it right.
I was determined. Thanks a lot for being with us. And thank you to Wells Fargo.
Thanks so much.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.